Good morning, I'm Harley Schlanger from the LaRouche Organization with your daily video update for December 27th, 2024. As we come to the end of the year 2024, we have a situation in which the global majority is looking for signs of sanity from the collective West. What's clear is that the policy in the West is controlled by corporate oligarchs who are committed to the idea of maintaining a globalized system of neoliberal free trade, of imperial looting, and increasingly turning against the populations of their own countries. We see an acceleration of a debt buildup to absolutely unsustainable levels, 35 trillion and counting in the United States alone. The solution that's proposed by these oligarchs is kick the can down the road. We just saw it again with the continuing resolution that was passed by the U.S. Congress. Basically, it shows their refusal to face up to reality, which is that the system is broken. The problem is insolvency. It's not solved by pumping money in. The so-called liquidity solution doesn't work. It just increases the debt and weakens the value of the money. And this is the solution proposed by the increasing reliance on financialization, that is speculation, that is the use of funny money to try to make profits from trading instruments that have no internal or inherent value of their own. Now, the idea of speculation rather than production is what's gotten us into this mess, but that's the solution they continue to come back to. Now, combine that with militarization, that is launching wars against those who refuse to submit to the system, and at the same time, militarization includes the Biden policy. It's like a going out of business sale. Please take our money and buy our weapons. And who gets the benefit from that? The warlords of the military-industrial financial complex. We see that in the West, the NATO governments are becoming increasingly unpopular. They're falling one after another. And now we're seeing that in the East as well. The idea of global NATO, of incorporating Asian countries into NATO, well, the South Korean government appears to be in total chaos with a new impeachment almost every day. So there's a major reorganization underway, directed by networks from the global majority, from the global South. This is not the great reset of the central banks, of Schwab, of the too big to fail banks. This is something very different. And it's a sign of sanity. Now, yesterday I reported on the agreement reached between Russia and Pakistan to extend their transport corridor to increase trade, not just between Russia and Pakistan, but many countries from Central and West Asia, all the way to Europe. We also saw the beginnings of a Japan-China rapprochement, the meeting of the presidents of the two countries in Peru, then the foreign ministers meeting in Beijing on Christmas Day, signing an agreement for cultural cooperation and a people-to-people alliance for progress and peace. Also, we've seen recently in Peru the opening of an absolutely spectacular modern port, which opens the doors of all of Latin America for trade with Asia. And it was built by Costco, the Chinese company, not by any American or Western company, which continues to insist instead on a one-way flow of raw materials to the West and the impoverishment of the countries of the South, to the point that it increases the flow of migrants into the North. Now, also a sign of sanity, Thailand is going to be joining the BRICS. And this gives you a sense of a growing movement of economic development for mutual benefit. That's what the BRICS represents. It's not an anti-American policy. It's a policy against the global oligarchy, which most in the West don't support anyway. Now, we also saw from a presentation Sergei Lavrov, the Russian foreign minister, gave to the Russian 60 Minutes program, in which he said, he reiterated Russia's policy. We don't want confrontation, but cooperation. But Russia will defend its sovereignty and will not submit to the demands that it give up its sovereignty for the sake of peace. Now, we also had a very interesting Christmas message from Pope Francis. And what he said is, the doors of dialogue and peace be flung open. Open the Jubilee door, the Jubilee year of 2025. And Jubilee is a reference to the biblical idea of forgiving debts and working together, cooperation, based on empathy, on love of your fellow human being. Now, the idea is to address poverty, the endemic poverty which is the cause of the refugee crisis, combined with the loss of hope. So we in the Schiller Institute have been addressing this with a new pamphlet we put out. It's titled, Development Drive Means Billions of New Jobs, No Refugees, No Wars. And I'll have a link to the pamphlet at the bottom of the description section. This describes how the tradition of the American system can be applied to the whole world. And by American system, I don't mean the globalized neoliberal system, but the tradition of national banking, the tradition, as opposed to central banking of private banks, but national banking, in which elected representatives of sovereign nations determine the flow of credit, not a bunch of corrupt, greedy speculators. Now, this was discussed yesterday in the dialogue I had with Helga Zepp-LaRouche. We took up the question, are the neocon neoliberal globalists that crazy that they would provoke or launch a nuclear war to defend their collapsing system? Now, not only does she provide a psychologically precise analysis of this insanity, but she offers a solution, an answer. And this was in reference to the question of what is the LaRouche solution? The application of LaRouche's 4 laws internationally for a physical, economic, productive system with an emphasis on science and technology, which means education, which means improving standards of living, healthcare. That's the system that needs to be adopted internationally, not the continuation of a broken down neo-colonial system that just benefits a handful of billionaires. So I'm going to leave it at that. Your homework for the weekend is to watch the dialogue from yesterday that I had with Helga Zepp-LaRouche, study her answer, the outline of LaRouche's 4 laws, because that's the approach that we could have taken in 1975-76 when he drafted the proposal for an international development bank to replace the looting mechanism known as the International Monetary Fund. Now, further, on Saturday at 2 p.m. Eastern Time on the Manhattan Project program this week, there'll be a dialogue between the host Dennis Speed, Mike Robinson from the UK column, and me to both unravel what's going on in Syria to the extent we can, because Syria is a mess that was opened up by the same British geopolitics that's behind the Ukraine war and the threats to go to war against China. We'll try to unravel that and present some solutions for the coming year. So join us, join the LaRouche movement. We have been right for many, many years. And the potential today to drop the insanity, the ideology of the green policy, of the austerity, of the bailouts, and replace it with an investment in the real physical economy of sovereign nations. That's the potential we have. Let's not miss this opportunity. Join us and do your homework, and I'll see you again, hopefully, today at 11 a.m. Eastern Time. We have the International Peace Coalition Zoom call, and then tomorrow, Saturday, we'll have at 2 p.m. the Manhattan Project. Till then, see you.